A few months ago, I picked up this Land Rover Defender 110 off Facebook Marketplace for just £2,000. Bargain, right? Well, sort of. Since then, I've been on a full-blown mission to restore this beast back to its former glory, but this is not just any restoration, this one's destined to become a real head-turner. So far, the journey's been intense, from ripping off body panels,
yeah boy,
and battling rust like it's personally offended me, to overhauling this tired 200 TDI engine,
yes!
and completely rebuilding this rotten seat box. Both axles have been removed, stripped down and fully restored to showroom shine. And now we're getting close to a huge milestone in this restoration, the new chassis, the literal backbone of this build. But before that can happen, there's just a few more gritty jobs that we need to tackle.
And the main one is to take off our awesome 90 cab conversion that we did a few videos back. So we're going to need to take the roof off, both the sides and the doors, as well as the rear door, and then that'll give us good access to get the tub off, which I'll get Big Kev the neighbour to help me with, and then that will expose what is the monstrosity of the chassis, and you guys can have a bloody good look. But before we do any of that, I just want to have one last rake around in the back door. So while the 90 cab conversion is all in place with the door fitted, I need to revisit the seal here. So many of you guys mentioned in the last video that rather than just putting this rubber seal this way around and riveting it down and then letting this slide under this tiny gap here, many of you suggested that I should basically trim off the bottom of this rusty bit here and replace it while I'm on, and then move this up a couple of inches. That way I can put the rubber the right way around and then put the proper trim over it that way, and then the door will close nicely up to it. And also what that'll do is it means we can rectify this horribly bent round and battered in skin bodge job that someone's done, make that look all shiny and nice, and then while we're on we can basically fit a new skin to this rear door, making it look nice. So I think the first thing to do is take this door off, get the glass off, get this horrible shabby looking skin off, and then we can get to work grinding all this back to bare metal, and hopefully we've still got a fairly solid door, because the top does look pretty new, and I think it's just the bottom that's had all of the water ingress and rust. So let's do that now. Oh, come on Betty! Easy.
So the first step is just to remove the glass from the rear door that's held in place with some silicone.
Nice. Right guys, that's the window out, the door lock off. The next job was to go around and peel off this outer skin.
So with the range of tools we can get to work bending, prising and bashing off the skin.
Right, moment of truth, I'm just putting some gloves on to make sure I don't give myself a cut and require a tetanus. Let's see if we can peel this bad boy off. Oh, there's a couple of rivets here. God damn it. Who puts rivets in a door? The rust is unreal. Come on, Betty. Off. Woo! Right guys, and here we go. Look at the state of this. Where's all this hair come from? It's like horsehair. Rank. Anyway, this bottom bit is proper rusty. It's still fairly solid, but just not very nice at all. So we're going to cut this bottom bit out anyway and fit a new one, and we'll move it a little few inches higher up. But the rest of this looks good. So this is all nice solid metal. It's just a bit of surface rust, and again all the way along here. So what we're going to do now is just take off these top covers, and then we'll get the grinder on it and flatten it all back and see if we can get this metal looking nice again. Right guys, and here we go, all cleaned up and not looking too shabby. Most of this is cleaned up really well, minimal rust. It just really starts to get rusty down at the bottom, especially where this bit is here, which we're going to cut out. But yeah, all in all, not too bad. Pretty pleased with that. If I flip it round, again, you can see it's cleaned up pretty well. It was definitely worth taking all of that skin off because there was rust under these parts and rust under the top that would have only over time got worse. So it was certainly the right thing to do. So I think next I'm going to get the angle grinder and just cut this bottom bit off here and here and across there, and then we'll get it back on the truck and we'll see what we need to do next. Yeah, boy! Right guys, that's the door back on and swinging very nicely, as you can see. We've now got a nice gap under here, so when we open this, it doesn't catch this checker plate at all. So what I've done is I've just marked a little bit of a line there because we want that a few mil higher, so when we wrap the skin underneath there, it's not going to catch and bring that down any further. So that's looking nice. What we've got here is the trim or the compression strip. So I'm just going to put that on the outside because we've got some smooth parts here. But when we put this new trim sill on, that smooth part there will be on the other side of here. But for now, just to test fit, let's put that there. Let's close the door. And then if we put this trim over the top, we can see we've got a nice bit of compression there. So when that door opens and closes, it compresses up against that rubber strip, making a nice seal. So what we need to do now is take the door back off, just trim that couple of mil off, and then we need to basically custom fabricate this strip onto that door, which will be our very first fabrication job on this custom build.
But on that note of custom builds, let's take a quick break and shine a light on a tool that I'm going to be using behind the scenes, Rapid Direct. So if you're into custom fabrication, prototyping, or even need parts for your next big idea, this platform's worth a look. It's an all-in-one online manufacturing platform offering CNC machining, injection molding, sheet metal, and even 3D printing. And you get instant quotes right from your web browser, no messing with back and forth emails, just put in your CAD design and boom, there's your price. And here's the cool part, Rapid Direct doesn't just outsource, they've got their own 20,000 square metre facility.
It's huge, which basically means faster turnaround time and better quality straight from the source. Now here's a cheeky little project I've been working on behind the scenes. This is a CAD drawing of one of these Defender door handles that I'm going to get custom made and get Rapid Direct to print for me. So hopefully in a future video we'll replace these plasticky door handles with some nice custom made ones that I've designed and had manufactured by Rapid Direct.
There's also a Rapid Direct membership that unlocks discounts and quicker delivery for you guys. I've left a short video in the description box below that explains exactly how it works, so make sure you check that out if you're into this kind of stuff.
So whether it's an off-road upgrade or a custom part just like my door handle, check out Rapid Direct. There's a link in the description box down below and you get 20% off your first order. Nice. Right, so we're back inside the garage now. We've got the door positioned on the welding bench. We've got the new piece that needs to be fabricated in. I have marked exactly where this piece needs to go up to, but I'll be honest, every time I look at this, I find a different way in which I can angle it or cut it to splice it in place. I am no fabricator. This will literally be my first fabrication job, but I've got my grinders here, I've got my welder there, and I've got my brew down here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to crack on, give it a go, and see what happens. Woo! Yeah, boy!
So with the cuts marked on the new piece, we can then take the grinder and the hacksaw and trim that piece to size.
Right guys, and here we go. All grinded and cut back into place, fitting quite nicely. I think you'll agree. So what I'm going to do now is with the new welder, put a couple of tack welds on this side and this side, and then we'll go outside, we'll put it back on the truck and see if it fits. And there we go. She's back on and looking nice. So that is the new strip along the bottom there. It's fitting quite nicely. I still need to trim that 5mm off the bottom, but once that's off, That should be a fairly nice, even spacing, and that gives us a nice bit of clearance. The back of the checker plate encloses nice, and we'll butt up to that weather strip that we put in on this side of the door. So I've just got a little bit more cleaning up to do. So obviously we need to properly weld in this new piece all the way around. Probably put some fillers or filler pieces along there. We need to trim off the bottom of these bits here, so we have this nice flush edge all the way around. So we'll cut that off there and cap that so there isn't any holes there. And then we'll tidy it all up, grind it back, and we should have a nice new custom door. And then we can give it a nice lick of paint to make sure it's completely weather tight moving forward. So let's cut to a little montage. Well, I'm not sure about my welding, but my grinding's pretty good.
So with the new piece firmly welded in place and all the blanks covered, we can then take it into the spray booth, give it a degrease, then mix up some of that Raptor 2K epoxy primer that we used on the axles and give it a lick of paint.
Right guys, and here we go. One new fabricated and painted door. Let me show you. So we've got the new piece welded in here now, and we've got a nice lick of epoxy resin paint all over it. So what that'll do is add a protective layer, so when we've got the steel door and the aluminium skin across it, it's not going to oxidize and cause any issues there. And then what I have got down here is a new door skin that I ordered a few weeks back. Now I have to say I'm a little bit disappointed because it came brand new and it's arrived all bashed and bent and not in the best shape, but it doesn't matter too much because this will need a little bit of bodywork anyway. But that's going to go just on top of there, like that. It is going to need a little bit of fettling because if you look at these corner pieces here, they don't quite fit flush with the door, so I'm going to have to kind of file those back a little bit on that side and this side, but that's not quite the end of the world. And then over in this box, we've also got the top piece and the two side pieces. So these little things here, we've got one that'll go on this side, like this, and we've got one that'll go on that side there, and then this top piece goes over there. Then all of these bits will basically just be folded under here and around the door frame. This main piece is going to need a little bit of fettling. If we come down here, you can see this is the end of the new door frame where I've kind of chopped it and moved it back, but the skin goes all the way down to here, so the original door would have been like this much wider. So what I'm going to have to do is basically just draw a line along there and work out roughly how much extra we need here onto there, trim that off, and then hopefully we can fold that in and just make sure we tuck the corners in nicely. But it's still going to take just a little bit of fettling, but I think once it's done, it's going to be looking nice. So let's crack on.
So the first job is just to file back those little corners that are stopping the panel fitting flush. So with the panel now fitting nice and flush, we can then flip the door around and start to mark up and measure where we need to cut the panel to match the new profile of the door. And then carefully using the jigsaw, we can cut off that excess and then just use a file to smooth off the edges. Next, we can mark and cut the corner pieces so it matches the original profile, so when we fold the edges over, it butts up nicely. Then taking a Christmas tree drill bit, we can drill a hole for the door lock. Finally, we can add a bit of panel bond before getting to work folding around those edges very carefully with a hammer. And with the main skin firmly in place, we can then follow exactly the same process for the other pieces, and that is job done.
And there we go guys, the door is finished and reinstalled, and just look at that, absolutely perfect. So it now shuts perfectly over the checker plate with a nice gap underneath, and if we open it and have a look inside the cab, we've got our new weather strip along here, so that now fits perfectly there. So when we shut the door mates up to the bottom of that weather strip. Perfect. And it's gone on really nice. I'm really pleased. It does need a little bit of body work when we come to paint it. There's a few little dings here that I mentioned that came when it was packaged, but nothing that we can't handle.
So with a little bit of elbow grease and tackling it with some confidence, we've got rid of the rust and made a beautiful custom door for this build.
But all in all, guys, I am over the moon with the way it's turned out for my first skin job. The time has come. D-Day is here. Mummy and Daddy are splitting up. It's the big divorce. Today, this body is coming off the chassis and never shall the two meet again. And I think I'm going to start with the doors. Come on, you b****. Why would you not just come out there? Hell. Come on, give a guy a break. Oh, come on, Betty. Off. Right, guys, so here are the doors. And as you can see, the bottom is looking fairly rusty on both sides. Now I think these have probably been new doors at some point, because up here they're all in great condition, like really nice condition. Just like the back door, it's mainly the bottom bits that are rusty. So what I might do is, given the success of the previous skin job, take off these skins, give this the Rolls-Royce rust treatment, and then put a fresh pair of skins on both sides. The skins aren't in horrendous condition. This one's not too bad at all, to be honest. There's just a little bit of oxidization here coming through the paint. This one does have a bit of a crease along there, which wouldn't be too much bodywork to sort out, but it does have a lot of oxidization here from the rust underneath. So in my mind, it seems like a better idea just to put two new skins on there, and then we've got two nice, perfect doors. But I don't know, guys, let me know what you think in the comment box down below. Could I get away with just sanding that back, doing some rust treatment on the underneath, and then doing a little bit of bodywork to fill in those marks? Or do you think it's worth a couple of £100 to put on some brand new skins and get two nice looking doors? But I think the next job to do now is take off this roof, and with the power of YouTube and a little help with Kev the neighbour, we'll get that off in 3, 2, 1, boom! Easy. Right, so that's the roof off, the sides off, and the seat box off. The only thing left holding this tub on is a couple of brackets under here. So we just need to get the grinder on this one, and the one at the other side, and then this bad boy should be off. Woo! Right, before I show the chassis, let's get the windscreen off and the bonnet. Oh, now what do I do? Woo! Oh, easy. Oh. That'll be the windscreen off then. Come on, Betty! Oh. And there we go, guys. Everything is off. And as you can see, I'm starting to look like a proper Land Rover Defender owner now, with all of these spare and obsolete parts scattered all around my property. I'm only joking, guys. Let's have a look at what we've got. So over here we've got the roof and the two 90 sides as part of our 90 cab conversion. So they are perfect. Other than a lick of paint, there's nothing else needs to happen to them. We've got this windscreen here that we've just taken off, but I think I'll replace that for the one we've got in the back garden behind the pop-up workshop. And obviously we're going to need a new bonnet, but I do have a new one of them. Again, in the back garden behind the Popper workshop. The seat box is looking lovely, fully refurbished with all pretty much new parts. That just needs a good lick of paint and a proper under seal up the bottom end. The doors, we might put some new skins on them yet, but let me know down in the comment box below what you think. We might just have to do a little bit of rust converter and grind that rust back, and those skins could be okay. But I think, all in all, I'll probably just get some new ones. And then the rear tub, look at it in all its beauty. So we did put this brand new skin along this side, still looking great. We've got the new floor inside, which just needs securing down properly with a few more rivets. The front part that goes inside the cab does need a little bit of cleaning up. We do have a few parts that we're going to have to address, like this bit here where it's oxidized and kind of rotted through. So we'll probably put some kind of plate over that, maybe bond it in and rivet it down, unless we get a complete new replacement part. I'll look into that. We have a little bit here as well that does need a little bit of TLC, but that'll sand back nicely and paint up nicely, I think, especially when we have that new seat box across there. And then the panel down this side isn't bad at all. It's fairly straight. It just needs a little bit of sanding and TLC around these parts, but we will get some of those big beefy arches anyway, which will cover most of these kind of imperfections on the panel. And then down here, it's a little bit misshapen. We can probably bash that out with a hammer and a metal block. But again, I'll probably put one of those checkered plate skirt cap endy thingamabobs, which will cover this rough bit here once it's all been fixed and sealed and painted. But all in all, that isn't in bad shape at all. But enough about the parts we've taken off. Let's go over and have a look at this chassis. And here we go, the monstrosity of the chassis. Where do we start? Well, as you can see, guys, down here we have holes around all these main structural parts where the steel's just delaminated and not in good shape at all. This, obviously the suspension side, again, you've got all of this stuff flaking off, all delaminating around here. So really, that was going to take a lot of welding to pass an MOT. So not good at all. If we come down to the middle bit, this is obviously where the rear bulkhead or the bit behind the seat goes. And again, down here, you've got a lot of delaminating going on here. And then all under here is not looking particularly nice. You can see it's starting to delaminate there. And then this is just all crusty. And then down here, we have gaping holes. You can even see the wiring loom there actually, which we'll have to get out at some point. So not great. If we come around the front, the bulkhead is just knackered. That is where the sills went that I had to yank out because I couldn't get that bolt out in a previous video. And then down here, we've got more holes than something with a lot of holes. Nice. And then if we come around the front, this at some point has had loads of welds because there's even a little bit here. I think that's some wire from a welder there that's just hanging around. But that, oh my God, look at that. Please I didn't drive this bad boy. Yeah, that's coming off. And if we go around the other side, it doesn't get any better. In fact, probably a bit more worse. So we've got a complete delamination of all of that there. Gaping holes all the way through this side. Nice. Would have been good for ventilation though for your feet. And then the bulkhead looking good. And then down this side, again, we've got another huge hole here. I'm sure that should be all squared off steel, but anyhow, big holes there, gaping holes. And then round this side, we've got more holes and loads of delamination there between the layers. And then down here was the worst part. This is the part that really helped me negotiate the price when I picked it up. This is where the suspension was fixed to, and you can see it's all just hanging off there. Really, really bad. Not good at all. It does look like it's had a rear cross member welded in at some point, because that's not as bad as the front, but obviously there's no point putting a rear cross member on if the rest of it's absolutely shagged. But when we very first bought this, and in that first video, when I was lying down there saying, I think we're going to need a new chassis. So, we need a new chassis. I didn't think I'd ever quite get to this point. So I've got to say, guys, I am pretty pleased with myself. Although, there's not a lot left of it now. But that's okay, because we've got more parts to refurbish and we've got a brand new chassis and bulkhead on the way imminently. So once we've sorted the bottom of this rear tub out, undersealed it and sprayed it with some of that nice Raptor spray, as well as the seat box down here, I think we'll be pretty much in good shape to put all of this back on the new chassis when it arrives. So there we go, another huge milestone complete. So if you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button down below so you can keep track of this build as we progress bit by bit to hopefully get this bad boy back on the road in a video soon. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.